Okay, that's fine. Oh, in theory, it's running. Let's open up a tab here. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we are live here. That's enabled. Now inviting individual people is kind of a pain in the ass. Well, Jay has to be invited. We have a thing here though, and the link should be in the description. But yeah, it should be fun. Oh well. Hey, Midnight, link's down there. Want to pop in if you want? I mean, apparently Jesus is Lord wants to try to teach me about the Bible, so this could be a fun. Of course, I'm willing to bet he'd last about 10 seconds in here before I'd chuck him to the curb for being an idiot. But, you know. Links in the description working okay? Oh, here we go. Hey, we've got a wild Jackie. Ooh. Ooh, we got Midnight. Yay! There we go. Hey! And hey! There we go. How you doing? I'm not seeing the internals audio. Let me make sure that's set right. Let's see now. Hijack, that's the wrong one. There we go. Jabra, and there's microphone. Okay. Apply. And okay. There we go. And let me. Okay. Pause that one. And now we should just be streaming. I had the internal going as well. Local, rather. How you doing, Midnight?
Hey, pretty good.
You
know.
Oh, here comes Headless. Question. What's the easiest fucking way on the shit to add somebody that's not on your list to a hangout? Because I can never fucking find it.
I guess the easiest way would be to put a link in the direct chat. I don't know.
It's a pain in the
Or
ass.
or if you want, I can give the link to Jay.
Yeah, give it to Jay and to Jesus is Lord or Jesus is grapefruit or something like that.
I don't know how to get in touch with him.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, the hangout exists, but I know he trolls drag, so I don't know. I don't expect him to come by here, because you know, a moment ago he was like, I will teach you about the Bible, because you clearly don't understand anything when you say that the Jewish practice of slavery was racist at the time back in the Old Testament.
Didn't you read the Bible like 50 times?
More than that, I actually went and listened to some seminars on the topic in terms of how it's regarded by Hebrew scholarship, and then tried to fucking spread those because, you know, it'd be nice if people actually knew what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah, so you've done your research, so
Yeah.
You're already a leg up on him.
Well, you know, if he wants to sit there and try and teach me, it'd be kind of fun. The link to join the to be able to join the Hangout should be down below. If you actually look in the description, I can do that. These are corporate Hangouts, Jay. The join HTTP yada 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 should actually. Oh, you want to just sit and lurk out there, dude? You want to make sure that Jesus is a twat? I mean, sorry, Jesus is Lord. Actually knows that this exists, Jay, if you don't mind, because I think he ran off from that last one after I asked him if he could tell me the difference between an Ivid Ivrai and an Ivid Kenai.
These images are so weird.
Yeah, dude,
I mean, they're awesome, but they... Squirrels.
But yeah, I'm willing to bet he can't answer that question. And if he can't answer that question, he has no footing to try to tell me about the Bible in terms of biblical slavery. This was my fucking topic for a while back when they were getting into that shit, because both sides were technically wrong, and I'm like, no, both sides are fucking wrong here. Here's your correction. This is actual proper Judaic scholarship as to what the practices of the culture at the time were, and no one would fucking look at it other than a couple atheists. Now, granted, Gabriel did look at it, but he signed off on it as, yep, that's accurate. That's an accurate representation. I'm like, okay, so it's not just the Jewish lecture on the 613 sorry, 613 laws that actually has this. This is actually proper Judaic teaching as well. Cool.
Probably would know the whole fucking Code of Hammurabi, huh?
Well, yeah, I actually, I found a really great resource on the 613 laws of ancient Judea, And they had some great breakdowns on the topics of things like slavery and rape and that kind of stuff. I mean, they had a lot of really neat resources there and some really difficult questions because, you know, it's not like Christianity where they sit there and say, Bible says slavery good, slavery good. Jews question this shit. They're taught to. You're instructed to, really. You should only have questions, ask, and we'll answer. And you don't get the answer of, I'm going to run to my pastor. That shit always drives me fucking nuts. So anyway, how you doing, Wolf?
Pretty good.
Can't complain. Been a little bit of a while. Yeah, it started off with me mentioning the 12th Tribe RPG that I ran a while ago in the external on the Three Black Heathens show. Now, when we were running that, when we changed seasons, the 12th Tribe is going to have a currency in the next season of the role-playing game. So I had them pick what they were going to use as a trading currency in the game. And because you had G-Men and Veckel running around doing their thing, they decided to choose Veckels as their form of currency.
What?
Oh, yeah. You know,
why not?
Well, you have shekels, you have Veckels. It worked. It was kind of funny. And he was like, I'll debate you on this. I'm like, debate me on whether it's funny or not? But then he's like also saying that, you know, well, it sounds racist to me. I'm like, oh, well, in a way it is. Yeah, because it's poking fun at how racist the practices of ancient Judea were, as well as to a black guy defending biblical slavery. There's an irony there that you apparently are missing. He's like, I'll debate you. You don't know anything about the Bible. I'm like, okay, fine. Open a hangout. I'm like, okay. And now there's a hangout. So
how recent was this?
Oh, this was like 10 minutes ago. This was right at the end of the Black Heathens show. So, yeah. Jay...
Yeah, I just got off of that sounds funny, honestly, but I just got off from like the story, like posting the story of this woman who's being jailed for posting memes. Apparently, it offended the like religious fundamentalists in Russia, I believe.
Well,
and now she's facing like 5 years in jail as a result.
Yeah, but Wolf, that's Russia.
The Russian Orthodox Church does have a scary amount of sway.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
blasphemy laws are problematic. Yeah.
Thank you for that obvious thing, Pseudo.
Let's see now. Well, okay. I had a spinny thing for a second there. I might need to adjust my bandwidth on the broadcast here.
Jay said he gave Jesus' Lord the link on a YouTube comment thing, so...
Well, I tried that too, and, you know, he's about useless. And the problem is trying to get in direct contact with these people without their fucking Google address is a bitch.
Well, he's also a troll, that's right.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he'd actually come into a hangout, and if he does, I welcome him to try to teach me about the Bible, all the things he thinks he knows.
He's also a bullshit teacher.
Oh, no shit, dude. I mean,
this is biology teacher, friggin'. He teach math and then sell stuff on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he fall for a troll Drag was making Dr. Cloud or something? Or is that the same guy, or is that someone else? I forget. Like Drag made something up and he fell for it or something. No one knows what I'm talking about?
No, not offhand.
Oh,
no.
well.
There we go. Minimize that a little bit. There we go. Shrink that down. Make that a little bigger. There we go. Uh-oh. I just made Midnight's icon bigger. Ah, run! I still don't know how to make it that. It's just, I don't know. I think I like the old one better. That one's just kind of odd. Then again, it might be brain damage. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm waiting for him to pop in and give us our drive-by Jesus thing. Dum 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 dum. Oh man, fucking Slender Man movie. Why did they have to come out with that thing? They came out with the Slender Man movie
in theaters.
They came out with the Slender Man movies just recently in theaters, yeah. And I really wish they hadn't come out with it because now, of course, reviews are coming in and it's just as bad as you'd expect. But at the same point, there's this Slender Man song that was done by this guy online that goes by Brental Floss. It's now stuck in my head.
And now we're gonna hear all the Slender Man crap all over again.
No, I'm just sitting here with a song in my head, going, trying not to hum. They took one of those fucking mindworm kind of songs from elder days, we'll just say, and kind of. I'm like, oh shit, no, don't hum, don't sing.
Oh, so it's not the Spider-Man theme song?
No, it's
that would have been funny.
No. Funny thing is, I'm having problems remembering the first final lyrics. It's that something about the suns. Right, anyway.
Slenderman can.
Yeah, that's the fucking one.
Slenderman can.
Shut up!
It's the Candyman.
Fucking earworms. Yeah, Candyman, thank you. Yeah. Fucking earworms.
I didn't even know that was the tune they used.
Yeah, that was the one they used. That's what I was sitting there trying not to hum desperately. Yes, I'm nuts, honey. What are you doing?
I would have thought the old Spider-Man theme song from the old cartoon would have been a good one.
Oh, gee, it looks like Jesus is Lord might not show up. I mean, they've been trying to contact Jill, but, you know.
Jay said he found him on Google Plus and sent him the link.
Yeah.
On Google Plus.
We'll see if he pops up.
All right, now you got to get him to click it.
I don't think he will. I kind of expect not, honestly. I'm not even sure that I've ever really had an actual conversation of any sorts with Jill. You know, other than him just trolling my chat box. And I don't think that counts as a discussion. But I want to give him the chance. He seems to think he can teach me about the Bible when it comes to slavery, so that should be fun. Already had that kind of hangout with G-Man back in the day. Idiot. Yeah, I think when you're defending that, you're kind of fucking up and missing the script, you know.
Yeah.
I remember when Max Hangs Out came to me because he was going to be having a debate, and he was going to be having a debate with Emperor Atheist, and he chose that as the topic because he knew it'd be fucking hard to defend. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's a good enough reason. And he's like, do you have any ideas for me? I'm like, oh God, I gotta fucking brief you now. So we went over it and over it and over it. And the first thing that I told him, I said, you have to, right out of the gate, acknowledge that slavery is wrong. Right out of you have to acknowledge the immorality of slavery right out of the gate, or you've already fucking lost.
You're right back.
So then it's a matter of justifying why God might have allowed it at that time in history, or what purpose God might have had. And then it's somewhat defensible. But if you're not willing to make that initial concession, that initial acknowledgement, you've kind of already shot yourself in the dick, never mind the foot.
Well, defensible, yeah, but not really validly. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's, I guess, sort of defensible.
Well, it's not defensible in that you're saying slavery is okay when God says it. It's like, no, this whole divine command theory does not work when it's something that's that blatantly immoral.
The whole God thing just bothers me, honestly.
Oh, I don't know. I find that often theists just randomly will pick some hill to die on, and they always seem to pick the wrong fucking hill.
Who the hell were we listening to just now?
Yeah.
Me rambling? Why? What?
Okay, Wolf asks, what the hell were we listening to just now? And then you hear a woman say, yeah.
I was rambling. I don't know. I wasn't listening to myself. Me on a rant. Sorry? Oh, now he's realized he has another conversation going or something. I don't know.
So, you know, down into the downtime, the other day I decided to, do something different and stream through OBS. And I created like a little Discord server to do that in.
Well, initially when I was listening to Black Heathens and Idiot Boy jumps in there to challenge me kind of thing, I thought he was challenging me on whether or not trading in Veckles was a funny joke or not.
That still makes me laugh.
But apparently he wanted to challenge me on biblical knowledge?
I mean, is that like his niche? He's trying to carve for himself biblical expert.
I don't know, man.
Bible historian or some shit.
Isn't he a science expert too? So he claims. Jesus is Lord.
Is he trying to claim to be an expert?
Well, I mean, he's a friggin' jack of all trades type.
Ah, master of none. He should remember that word there, that phrase there that goes at the end of that.
I'll just keep my opinions to myself.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing is, it's, well, you want to try to become master of all, but that is the second end of it, but yeah. Hey, Clockwork, yeah, come on in if you want. We're talking about, well, technically we're kind of spanning time a little bit because Jesus' Lord challenged me and said that he'd be willing to teach me about the Bible because he thinks I don't fucking understand shit. So, anyway.
Hey,
but yeah, we can host like 25 people in here, so there's loads of room. Sorry, go ahead, Wolf, then Midnight.
13, you studied the cards of the tarot?
Oh, I used to. Back in the day.
You know all the names?
All the names? Hell no. I barely, well, okay, I know all the names except for the major arcana. I remember some of those. It's been a long fucking time. You've got the sun, you got the moon. There is one that's basically your jack of all trades, which is the Fool, which would be your jack of all trades. There's death. There's the universe. The tower.
That JoJo anime helped me figure out like at least I think all of them. There's Star Platinum, there's Hermit Purple, there's Hierophant Green, Magician's Red, Silver Chariot, the Fool, let's see, Temperance, Ebony Devil, let's see, the Empress, Emperor.
You're a little off on some of them, but yeah.
What are we talking about?
Major arcana.
By the way, can I have a wrench?
No.
Freaking Dark Blue Moon, the Sun.
How can I give you a wrench?
There's a lot of responsibility.
Okay, I will give you a wrench. Where is it? There.
I want a wrench.
So you want to be wrench number 5, Jackie, do you? Type something external. I'll trust you, Jackie.
Power. I
don't want the power. No.
Jackie, you would be like, Jackie, you would be wrench number 5, but nobody else fucking asked because 5's already too damn many. I don't like giving out wrenches.
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to give Sparkle a chance, but if I start seeing random messages, it's very Tobo Tomasi? I have no clue.
The hell is that?
I don't know. Let me kill this for 1 second. Actually, it doesn't matter because we have it here.
Hold on, I've seen him before. What was it on here or was it somewhere else?
I don't know.
Like he's been on streams before. I just can't remember where.
It looks familiar. I just can't place him.
Hey Shadow, you've heard me. I'm under my other account.
Okay, there we go.
And the Hangman.
Let me fix this. Oh, Hanged Man, actually. But yeah, a lot of those were technically wrong. The devil's just the devil or Satan, but listed either way. But we're just talking major arcana. It's actually, to some degree, tarots where we got modern cards out of. They just changed over the suits and whatnot. I don't remember the sequence of them, but yeah, the clubs, diamonds, etc. are initially drawn from that because, early card games before card games came. Somebody said, gee, we should play cards with these things, and then, they sit there, they start dealing them out, and you get the death card, and then the entire room changes around you, and then you play the tower, and it all falls down, things like that.
Yeah, where do you get these awesome squirrel photos? These are excellent.
Back when I was going after the Church of Scientology, they had this phrase which was, quote, quote, squirreling the tech, which meant using their teachings for anything other than what's approved by the Church of Scientology. So I started using squirrel pictures in the videos. So I have this massive fucking collection of the damn things. And even when I went past that, I decided, I'll just keep the squirrels. Or some of them are kind of cute.
Yeah, you got to get the one with the squirrel water skiing. and the remote control car or the remote control boat. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I haven't grabbed that one yet. Actually, I have things like Thor Squirrel. I have this Army Squirrel. Actually, that Army Squirrel I think is one of the mods that I did for it.
Saving Private Squirrel.
Yeah.
I saw one with a beer before. It was like a beer and
I've actually lost a shit ton of them. I used to have like 400 of them. I'm down to I think 50 now. I don't know, maybe 100.
I like the crocodile squirrel. That's cool.
The crocodile squirrel is pretty bad.
You got Formula Squirrel?
No, I that's somebody else's property.
Oh, that's good right there. The machine gun squirrel.
But yeah, the croco squirrel is for Ray Comfort.
Oh, gotcha.
Because what's the point of a crocoduck when your thing's squirrels, right?
Exactly.
Is that
why
Ray
do you have
Comfort or is
Ryan
that,
highlighted?
well, Ray
Oh
Comfort
shit!
and-
Because actually it doesn't technically matter. I've highlighted on the stream because I'd clicked on him when he was coming in for whatever reason. But on the stream, it should not be showing him as the set thing.
Well, I appreciate being highlighted for a while.
Actually, I guess you technically were. Oh well. Anyway, there we go. We'll put it on
Where
somebody
you, where you
else.
at there? You had a Formula One racetrack there, or what?
That's at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I went to this year's Indy 500.
Oh, I've been there many times. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've wanted to go for a long time. This time I actually finally got to go.
Oh wow. So that's like from Indianapolis and whatnot. So that's a picture of you being as white as possible.
Well, I don't know. There was I don't know. It depends where you were at. There were quite a few non-white people there. You'd be surprised.
It's a joke. Prudent.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of white track. I'll just say this though: on the walk to the track, you have to go through all these Indianapolis suburbs. There were a lot of white trash people. I will say that much.
Prudent. It was a joke.
I mean, I'll still go there. I mean, like people like shirtless, 40-somethings, out in their backyard.
Yeah, the
Suffering.
infield's pretty. The infield's pretty bad, but if you get seats like in the paddock area or up above and everything, you get pretty ritzy treatment. It's pretty nice.
That was the paddock
Prudent,
area.
Prudent, what
I was about to
percentage?
say that's what it looks like.
I got a question for Prudent. What percentage of them do you think suffered from Dunlop disorder?
Probably 5 to 10.
Dunlop disorder is why many aging white men can't find their dick anymore. Because there's some Dunlop over the belt.
Well, Indy's a little bit better. I mean, this was because this is open wheel racing. It's not as white trash as stock car racing. That's real white trash right there.
I didn't know he had an authority. That's pretty cool. Speaking of which,
There's
I
only
guess
like three-
I'm wondering what the fuck happened to Jesus' Lord. Damn it! Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think there's only like 3 races there a year. They have the Indy 500. They have one NASCAR race, and I think they have a motocross. And supposedly they had one of those Red Bull air races at one time. I don't know.
I think they still do that. And they used to have Formula One at Indy for about 8 years before they built the new track in Austin.
What's more of a white trash sport, hockey or NASCAR?
Well, this isn't NASCAR, though. This is IndyCar. IndyCar is a lot different, and definitely NASCAR. NASCAR's a fucking joke right now. And hockey is not white trash. Hockey, I mean, it's fucking Canadian. Canadians aren't exactly the most white trash people. Well, it's mainly Canadian fan base. So, I mean, it was invented in Canada, so I wouldn't call hockey white trash. And hockey's actually pretty awesome if you stick around for it.
So were you near the paddock, the brick, the finish line there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
so you-
yes, that was
yeah,
right
yeah.
around Victory Lane.
you
I
saw
actually I saw Will Power pull his car into the paddock area. I was like right next to it.
Oh wow. Yeah, those during the race, don't you love hearing that and seeing the blur? Because those things, they just blur. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're so fast. It's incredible.
I picture good old Prudence sitting there just grinning the whole time and then going home and having to brush his teeth from all the soot that got kicked up in his face.
Oh, well, I had it was actually very hot and humid that day. In fact, my arms are still orange 2 months afterward because I was like an idiot. I didn't put any sunscreen on.
Wait a minute, are you saying that's what happened to Trump?
Yeah, my arms, I'm looking at my arms right now. They're still fucking orange from that sunburn I got. Oh god, my face was this disgusting, sweaty fit. There was this gross sweaty film all over my face. Yeah, and I had It got even worse too, because just remember, there's over 300,000 people that attend the Indy 500, and I had to wait like 3 hours for a fucking Uber to actually clear through the traffic, and at least get a ride back at a decent price. So I had to walk, I had to walk like halfway back to the Airbnb I was staying at.
Why didn't you just walk from there and get enough blocks away that you could call an Uber?
That's what I did. I got enough blocks because the thing with well, yeah, that's what I did. Like, if the closer you walk towards the house, like the cheaper it is, and you also have to wait for traffic to reduce a little bit. The more congested traffic is, the more expensive the price. So I'm just checking my phone like every 10 minutes, just hoping that the Uber price keeps going down. I played it smart.
Yeah, people start flocking there like around 7 a.m. and they come in, they fire a cannon, and it opens up the gates. And people are in there by 10:30.
But to be back on air, sorry about that, folks. Had a little bit of a technical issue, called a system crash. We should be back up now. Just get back to my damn channel.
Just so we're clear, we're back on. All right, we're live.
We should be back on live now.
All right, because I have an important message. I have an important message for all the internet.
Cook the motherfucking dog with the
And this channel gets flagged. Thanks, Wolf.
How's it gonna get flagged?
I'm joking.
I could barely fucking understand it. Never mind the external. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. What the fuck did they say?
If there's any reason it'll get flagged, it's that crocodile turning into a non-dog.
Oh yes, the abomination that it is.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, let me actually pop out the chat here so that I have it here. Yeah, I don't know if it was just the last version of XSplit or what, but I've been having weird issues pertaining to crashes. I'm just leaving everything else not running for the moment. There we go, pop out chat. There it is.
Jill is not gonna come on.
Oh, did he say he wasn't coming on, or is he just ignoring everyone?
Well, he's probably ignoring everyone. You know, he probably got his. Actually, no, that's an insult to women. So never mind.
He's being a little pussy bitch.
So
did I say that out loud?
I mean, I was gonna say something else, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Close enough.
Well, out of curiosity, what does everybody think of the argument where people like? I think it was SpongeBob. What's his name?
Oh my god, I watched that again today.
Just imagine. Oh
yeah,
that's
standing for truth. The guy is a fucking nutcase.
Well, like he gets to a point where, and he does it like everybody else, where he'll get to a point where it's just like, I didn't know this was going to be 10 against 1, and I usually hate that argument. It's just like, if your argument is good and well founded, you shouldn't worry about how many other people are in the room. But that's not the case with him. Like, I once asked him in one of the things, I said, so why is your whole religion based on Usher chronology? And he's like, what? And I said, Usher chronology. And he goes, what's that? And I said, seriously? You're a fan of Ken Hovind and you don't know who James Usher was? And I swear you could hear him Googling it.
I've heard the 10 against 1 argument in a hangout in which there were 3 people and only 2 of them were speaking.
Yeah, and that's why I attribute it to you're flaking out, you know.
So can you go into some of that, like the question? Could you repeat a chronology or something? Sorry, I have trouble remembering certain words.
No, yeah, well, that's actually what he kind of said. No, I said, why is your entire religion based on Usher chronology? And he claimed.
Yeah, can you explain that?
Oh, Bishop Usher, he was a Protestant, I think 17th century one, who asserted he came up with the biblical timeline based on the numerics in the King James Bible and the Sumerian, I think, timeline of kings.
I think I've heard of him before.
And he asserted that, okay, the world started on a Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Well, that led to, the creation.
It's where the whole 6,000-year-old Earth is, which was initially kind of dismissed as being a heresy, seeing as the years of God and this kind of stuff being unknowable is something that's actually in the Bible.
Well, and it's a tool I use when I get into conversations with younger creationists, and I say, you guys are talking about all these sciences and proteins like Tommy Hall and all that kind of stuff, and I just say, all right, forget all that a second. Why is it that if the Earth isn't 6,000 years old, you have no faith. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, no, what do you mean? It's like, so like I'm not trying to say meet them halfway. Well, I kind of am, but at the same time, I just say, let's just pretend for 1 second, it's not 6,000 years old, for the sake of argument. Now what? And they're usually like, I don't,
Well, I mean, like in the beginning of Genesis, we don't even know how long a day is until I forget what was. Well, there's a part in the Bible where somebody says a day equals 1,000 years.
Yeah, it's a period of time. It's actually used interchangeably throughout the Bible in translations.
Well, it's yom, which has a whole bunch of different meanings, if I recall.
Yeah, yom.
Yom just means a passage of time. It has to be qualified with some other word in order to give a specific. So it just means, what would be interpreted as the first day means really the first period of time God did this. And it's just unspecified.
Yeah, so for all we know, for all we know, God took 13,000 years to create the universe and the earth.
Well, yeah, and I think my secondary whole point of that, just to be, in terms of appeal to charisma on their behalf, is if the whole point of the Bible you got out of it was a literal interpretation, you choose to forget any kind of message because you're hung up on hyperbole. It's just like what gives?
One thing I really don't like about apologists and people like SpongeBob.
And I call him that because his icon is just staring at me in the face.
Yeah. It's like the man lived in perfection, and basically, I do not like the fact that they blame man for how the universe is. Oh, because of the fall, the universe magically changed. There was a wave that just fucked everything up, and it's man's fault. Are you kidding me?
Well, I chatted with him once, and one of the things that we asked him was, how would you tell if a story is allegorical or if it's meant to be taken literally? Like what would be the criteria for distinguishing between the two?
I mean, that's a good question.
I remember that. I remember you asking.
He couldn't answer that. And basically, unless it was explicitly stated, this is a parable, he wouldn't be able to tell that it's a parable. Unless it's explicitly labeled fiction, he couldn't be able to tell if it was a work of fiction or not.
Well, I think he also said, well, you have to look at the context. And I was just like, no.
That's the context.
I was like, no, that's what he just asked you. He said, how do you know in what context to draw?
Yeah, based on what's been presented before us, how do we distinguish between the two? There's a bit of a context there which should be related to the genre of works, but...
yeah, like the ability to live inside a fish for 3 days. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, did you hold your breath that long?
Oh no, yeah. The ability to live inside a fish, the fact that it's the flood. There are so many problems.
Dude, Christians can hold their breath longer. Everyone knows that. Just ask Tommy Hall.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, normally I can only go as long until I get lockjaw.
Ooh, okay.
You'd probably throw up so much by the time you were, forget about breathing. You'd throw up and just be so sick of being in there for, you know what I mean?
I mean, and Standing for Truth, did the same thing Kent Hovind does, where he has like a non-science person or somebody that's not revealed, or how did this first cell come about, or something. I'm like, dude, you're talking to King Crocodile, whose field is cosmology. He doesn't have a background in biology. What like, how is that it?
No.
Well, the thing is he uses Kent Hovind flashcards.
No. If you find out that the person you're debating against knows something in a specific science, you talk about any other science than that one. Haven't you figured it out by now? That's how they play this game.
I know. It's just retarded. It's just dishonest of them to do it.
Yeah.
Well, The most dishonest thing I've ever Ken Hovind does this, like you can go back and watch his recordings, is when he always ends them out. He goes, this was great talking about all this. There's water and things we talked about. But at the end of the day, if you believe what you believe, you're going to stand before God and you're going to burn in hell. It's like, okay, you just basically, you know what I mean?
Pretty good.
Well, the thing is, there's all these Christians right now that are falling into this flat Earth brain trap thing. And he did this really great video that would have been a nice takedown of flat Earth if he didn't insist on throwing in, I blame the atheists for this. They claiming that it's an atheist conspiracy against Christians the whole way through. I'm like, no. Who's fighting against this most? The people that actually like science. Fuck off. He had to make it about atheists are conspiring to make us look stupid. I'm sorry, what?
Well, it's a victim mentality. It's just
yeah.
You sell more swatches or whatever you want to call it. You sell more books or sell more anything if you base it on the appeal to fear. And
well, if it's this big old nasty atheist conspiracy, we're pretty damn good at putting that into action. Because how many Christians outnumber atheists worldwide? And for how long have they actually had control of the universities and everything? Well, looks like we executed that plan pretty good.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you, what am I saying?
I don't know.
But no, yeah, it's dishonest. Ken Hovind is just, yeah.
Well, what's interesting is I think Ken Hovind is actually just, I think he's lost it a little bit. I think he lost a bit of it in prison. But I think Eric is absolutely disingenuous.
Are you saying that anal makes you forget things?
No, I'm.
Yes, Tommy Hall.
Or are you saying that you think he lost his
definitely
virginity?
Forget things in the moment.
Or are we talking about Hovind losing his anal virginity in prison? I'm lost.
I think he was defiant before he went into prison because that's what got him there in the first place, and I think just the insanity of it all and like his victim mentality probably was emboldened by the fact that he was in prison. But I think Eric being out there on his own and his dad saying, now you need to take over the reins. Eric says, you know what? I don't believe anything my dad says, but I'm going to pretend to because I can make a lot more money than he can because I'm more charismatic and not quite as quacky. And I think that's what happened.
No, you got it the exact opposite there. Have you ever compared their talks side by side? Because Eric Hovind originally just recycled everything that Ken Hovind said, but the problem is Ken Hovind was far better at delivering things. He wouldn't actually ask a question of the audience. He would ask the question and immediately give them the answer. That's one example.
Do you know how cloning, you're supposed to be like making a copy of someone or something? Yeah. He's more of a mimeograph of his father.
I mean, he doesn't know shit. Like Eric, did you see that talk he had with Thunderfoot, the Reason Rally?
Yeah. Well, that was after he had already, thrown out all the stuff that his dad had worked on because it wasn't working anymore. It wasn't going anywhere.
That precept shit.
Money. Yeah, and so, oh no, there comes this lovely bald man from Canada, and he goes, oh.
And he slithers up
I like
on
what you're saying because I
and...
don't have to know all this science stuff, and I don't have to argue that. I just have to sit there and go, and how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? I just have to act as I was when I was 5. Cool.
Yeah. Also, standing. Also, it seems to think that evolution is a religion. I think he brought that up in Skylar's stream from man.
Which was another question I asked him, which was, "What is your criteria for religion?"
Hang on 1 second here. I am turning off some stuff on the stream for 1 moment. Does anybody know who DJ Melody is?
No.
We'll give them a second here and see if they try to fuck with us.
No clue.
I'll just turn off the majority of the video for the moment. Hey, DJ, who are you? Dum, da, 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 da.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Soundboard?
I don't know, maybe. Okay.
So
tell us a little about yourself.
What is happening here?
You're getting ejected. That's what's happening here. Okay. Anyway.
Well,
I can turn that back on now.
He was trying to talk.
And he just made that G+ profile a day ago, and he only has 1 follower.
Yeah, and they're gone. It happens.
I mean, to be fair, if I were to make a profile, like, I don't know, that doesn't really seem like. I know you're being cautious, and I understand, but
you better fucking believe it.
You would have at least made something public, some public post on your profile, if you didn't make the damn thing 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what he did.
That Dalek's starting to freak me out, man.
The Dalek, not
Well,
Dalek.
okay, Daleks didn't used to bother me until they learned how to hover.
I don't know.
Because I have stairs.
I just keep hearing
Still fear Dalek.
You realize old school dogs would just destroy the building, right? If they saw stairs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just go
blow up the building, then you don't have to climb the stairs. Yeah, but then you have to figure out a way to search the wreckage with that plunger.
Kind of like Ed 2.
Yeah, but then
RoboCop or whatever.
But then Rick and Morty comes out with their portal gun and just portals out of there.
Yeah, you got that right.
But yeah,
and then they get the Szechuan teriyaki dick source.
Oh god, don't get me started on on what the fans did when McDonald's did the sauce thing.
I want the sauce back, Morty.
They actually did bring it back last fall for about a month, and then they got rid of it, but it wasn't the same label.
I'm Pickle Rick. Dub. Get on the counter and scream like a fucking maniac, and claim to be an intellectual because of the show. I'm like, yeah, that works. Oh, that Mr. Medical video. But no, getting back to standing, I was watching that stream again, and
just as a reminder, the reason this hangout exists is because Jesus is Lord said he was going to teach me about the Bible. So if anyone else wants to contact him and try to see if we can drag his goofy ass in here, feel free. We've already sent out a couple feelers.
So why don't you just get Standing for Truth on here?
Because he wasn't the one that actually.
I know.
He'll claim being
everybody's best friend. He's good people.
Asking, is that it? A stand-in? Stundle? Stundle.
Well, I mean, Sandy. No, Jill's not gonna come in, so.
Well, I tried reaching out, and I don't expect them to show up, but it's not like they can actually answer my question number 1 anyway. So.
What was the question again?
Well, I basically detest to see if they were worth my time. I asked them if they could explain to me the difference between the Yvette Kenani and the Yvette Ivry. They might be trying to look it up. I doubt that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Matt Slick question.
In a way it is. If you can't answer this, then you're not fit to talk to me about biblical slavery.
Going back to Eric,
a Matt Slick question would involve, harming children.
Whoa, 3 at a time. Sorry, hang on. Wolf first.
Yeah, I was just saying, going back to Eric Hovind, yeah, he knows less than his father. I mean, his father actually, his higher education was legit, right? Beyond that, like theological like high school he went to, he didn't have anything. He learned like backpacking in one class. Eric did, like he doesn't know shit.
I mean, yeah,
I'm not surprised he's a cyclone.
I was about to say, technically, both of them together don't have anything past high school, legitimately, right?
Yeah, they have no post-secondary accredited education.
Well, accredited, there's your key there, because apparently diploma mills ran out of fucking trailers doesn't count.
Especially when you write your thesis by starting going, "Hi, my name is Kent Hovind."
That's how he starts all his bullshit debates too, isn't it?
I love science, and here let's take a look at some upside down trees that are grown in water.
Why should evolution? Why should evolution be taught in school at taxpayers' expense? I want the religion out of my. I'm like, really, Ken?
You know how he defines religion, right?
Everything's a religion, according to him, when it comes down to it.
Dude, he said mathematics are a religion. What the fuck does that even mean?
What?
What the fuck does that mean?
It means
his definition.
Well, I can answer it. His definition of religion is if it is believed, it is a religion. And so, given the Constitution, you can't have religion in schools. Oh, I guess we can't have schools.
Yeah,
so any general thing.
Wouldn't that be convenient for him?
Okay, hang on. Go ahead.
My spelling sucks. Yep. Well, mine too.
We keep stepping on Wolf.
Sorry.
Well, no, I'm done. I'm done talking.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. In any case, yeah, there's a lot of people that, for the sake of their argumentation, will sit there and start declaring more and more things of your religion to the point that the word becomes completely meaningless.
Yep, I think Jordan Peterson did this too. Like, everything people do is religious. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, he pretty much did.
Well, there he was using it more as an adjective. He was talking specifically about routines, I think, if you're looking at the same video. I don't know, he's a weird character.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he is. And he really doesn't fucking understand women in the least. That's clear.
He kind of has a waspy type attitude towards him. I mean, I don't know. That's not standard of most like asserted intellectuals, but he has kind of like that. It might be what attracts people or what posts him so much. It's like this guy is like an elite or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I find it hard to believe. You know, a lot of the stuff he says, I'm like, okay, yeah, just parcel this and parcel that.
Okay, another person that I don't know who the hell they are. Let's accept and see who this is. Once again, I've killed a video on the stream. Jesse?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, we've spoken before.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember you.
You taught me that I'm a misotheist and a mouththeist.
Okay, don't run into too many of them.
As he cracks open a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that avatar though is just right in your face.
Maybe a little bit. Let me do this. Okay. So, yeah, I'm thinking Jill isn't going to be showing up. I saw the Jesse and I didn't know what Jill stood for and got excited for a moment there. Because you never know, because a lot of time with the corporate hangouts, when you go to join, it'll go to some default account and you have to click down below to change which one you're joining with. It's kind of a nuisance.
I'm familiar with you guys on the panel. It's a small world.
Oh, well, our corner of YouTube is really a small, weird, insular, almost, yeah. Yeah, we'll stop there at insular. Almost incestuous community. No, on one of the Discords I'm in, it's a group for basically authors, aspiring authors, etc. And one of the gals I've been talking about there, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, kind of. She's complaining about being bored and suffering from insomnia, so I invited her into the insomnia shuffle. And it occurred to me within like 5 minutes, she didn't understand a single fucking word we were saying because all of it was in-group references. It was like having to explain every game word. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we engage in topics and debates that have gone on for thousands of years, all right? One of the most important ones, if not the most crucial. Are traps gay or not?
I knew he was going to bring that up. I knew it.
I don't know that the traps themselves are actually gay, and the people that are attracted to them probably aren't, but once they find out that they're traps and try to continue, at that point, yes.
Don't use logic. But this...
Oh, no, that's my take on it.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
I'm not sure who Gary Wilson is.
Well, because if you stick it in the trap pussy or the.
Well, here, let me explain. Let me elaborate.
Yeah, let's see now. Yeah, sure. If you want to try and join, the link is out there. Feel free to, but keep in mind that I will be disabling the majority of video until we have an idea of who the fuck you are.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, and this hangout's unsnipeable if that's your agenda. Just saying.
I mean, for some reason, I've heard people say that it's a lesser gay. I'm not sure how it be. I guess I don't know. You're attracted to Trap's femininity or whatever.
Well, yeah, I guess that's that's the point. A lot of guys are just
or maybe because of the size of their ass or tits. I don't know. Then they say that there are no there are chicks with dicks, but there are no chicks with dicks. There are guys with tits, and they're I don't know.
Yeah, let's try out the newbie here.
It's like a paradox. It's
Twisted paradigm any way around it. Hello, Gary. I'm assuming you're new to the community in general?
You need to unmute.
It's not a Ridgeway, so we're fine.
I used to be on Nadia's channel a lot. I just got into it so much I was actually losing.
Oh, dude, I remember you. How you doing, man?
I'm shocked.
I remember that voice, man.
As many people you talk to, I'm surprised you remember me.
Your voice is distinctive enough.
What you was talking about before was Jesus is Lord and drag.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is Lord was trying to pass off some kind of... He gave some guy his name and said his research proved that homosexual sex causes diseases. And drag just went, okay, well, can you show me a peer-reviewed paper? And he cut all meebly mouth, and, you know, he's talking in circles, and drag says, oh, did Dr. Cloud?
Yeah.
Go write that paper? He went, yes,
that was awesome.
Dr. Cloud. Oh yeah, they were both, him and Dr. Sephiroth was part of the Genova project, right?
What the fuck? That was funny as hell.
Well, he also told them to Google it too. Final Fantasy. Oh yeah.
It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved it. I mean, if anybody deserves to be insulted, it's Jesus as Lord.
Well, the kicker is that, okay, I ran a online role-playing game. Pen and paper style, you know, Dungeons and Dragons kind of role-playing game. Granted, it's a homemade one. When we entered into the second season of it, the tribe that these people were from was going to start using currency, so I decided to let them name it. This was back when Vekel was running around defending biblical slavery, so they picked Vekel. It works. It rhymes with shekel. It's a Vekel. And I mentioned that during the Three Black Heathen show in the chat, and he's like, "Oh, debate you on it." I'm like, "On what? Whether it's funny or not, or what are you wanting to debate on?" I guess biblical slavery, because he was then claiming that I don't know anything about the Bible or how to read it. I'm like, I think my eyes work.
I just was never into that much into fantasy that much to even buy the Bible, even when I was a kid. I just skimming through it, I just couldn't help but think this is just so much shit.
Some people it sticks, some people don't.
Well, when I was a really young kid, I was aspiring to be an author, you know, and I started off writing a little bit of horror, then I went to sci-fi and fantasy, and in reading the Bible, I do know what bad fantasy is. Kind of case in point.
I think I remember G-Man saying there's nothing wrong with being a slave in and of itself, and then he was asked, "Can you be my slave?" And G-Man says, "Yeah, as long as you pay me."
Yeah, and actually, what it was there's nothing wrong with slavery in and of itself was his claim.
Right, but I mean, the thing that icing on the cake was when he said, "As long as you pay me," I was just like, "You idiot!"
Yeah.
If you take God out of the equation, and when you're talking about Bronze Age time, yeah, when somebody's going to die of starvation on the street corner, slavery is a step up from certain death. But if there's a God that's responding to everyone, and God is letting his presence be known at that time, you think God would object to slavery?
Well, even then, you know, it's like, oh, here's somebody starving to death on the street. You'd think a good Christian would bring them in and help them out without wanting to enslave them, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did somebody say Bible?
Yes.
Have you guys ever heard Leviticus chapter 26, verse 29, eat your children?
Oh, yeah, the part where you can sell your daughter into slavery if you want.
No, God's punishment was that the Israelites were going to eat their children.
I don't remember that verse. Which one are you talking about?
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 29. Read it for us.
Hang on. LEV 2639?
29.
29. Let me get that. 29. I don't have much of this memorized. Let's see. Now, this is one of those ones that's really going to need some context. You'll eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters. It's a curse being passed on to who is the question? Or are we wanting to examine this in a vacuum?
Why don't you read Hosea chapter 13, verse 16? It has been removed from the Bible. It talks about kill pregnant bitches.
Now, there are several different parts talking about killing pregnant women, cutting over their bellies, etc., etc., etc. But what's the point?
And then there's the abortion part they like.
No, the abortion part's a straight thing, though. A lot of these things are psalms or threats or curse made onto others and what have you. Some of them are talking about things that were done onto the Israelites or promising vengeance upon those that have wronged them. And those are very easy to take out of context, much like with that Leviticus reference. I'd have to actually go through and check that entire section. If you take verses in complete isolation, you can get that book to say whatever you want it to. That's
I've
part of the
spoken
problem.
to many Christians, and they do not want to admit that that was the Jewish people doing that to other people. They twist it.
I'm sorry, you're claiming what?
I've spoken to a lot of Christians, and they twist whatever the context is for some reason. They don't want to admit that that was in the Bible.
Well, it says that in the Bible, but it says a lot of things in the Bible. And as I said, if you take one verse in isolation without looking at the chapter that it's within and looking at it within proper context, I mean, you could go to pretty much any book and take a single line out of context and misrepresent it, and it sounds like that's what's going on here. As I said, I'd have to actually find out the cultural
You're an
context.
atheist, right?
Yeah.
You ever read Psalm chapter 137, verse 9?
You mean the poem?
The song, Psalms
Yes.
137, verse 9?
Do you know what the Psalms are?
Songs?
Yeah. They're poetry, they're hyperbole, they're not meant to be taken literally.
Happy is he who dashes your children against the rocks.
Yes, and why was that written, and what does it mean?
Well, it's judgment against the Babylonians for their cruelty on the Israelites.
You said Psalm 37:9?
137.
Oh, 137, okay.
The one about dashing the children's head against the rocks, which was penned back when they were in Babylon, when they were sitting there and basically posturing. And this was basically just promising vengeance on Babylon. That one. Now, this isn't actually a divine command to do so. This is what they claim was done onto them. And this is a song of vengeance. Little more.
Yeah, like the psalm starts, by the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. And then it goes on to just lament about being in, exile from their land and how they're frustrated with the Babylonians at the time. So it's just somebody venting their frustration.
Are you guys atheists or not?
Yes.
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 Why are you guys defending the Bible?
Because accuracy matters?
They actually did this to the Babylonians.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Oh, so they just said, I forgive you, and there was no violence?
They didn't say, I forgive you. Eventually the exile ended, and they returned home, and tensions remained.
And incidentally, the reason why the exile ended was because Cyrus the Great, I believe it was, came in and trounced the crap out of Babylon and then told all the slaves to go the fuck home.
I got one more scripture for you fellas. See if you guys defend this one. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 16.
We're not here to defend the Bible.
I don't really give a shit about defending the Bible. I care about if you're going to actually read a book, any fucking book, and you're going to pick a random line out of it to try to represent the whole book, you should probably figure out what that line's talking about and make sure that it's accurate to the rest of the text.
Yeah, if you're going to take a single line out of context and have fun with it, you may as well point to the line where Jesus is talking to doubting Thomas and says, here, put your fingers in my holes.
Do you guys agree in the end of the world that Jesus, the character in the Bible, is going to end the world?
No.
No.
Wow.
Why would I agree with that? I don't believe in the Bible. I think it's a load of horseshit.
But have you read it? Has it ever said anything like that?
Yes, I've read the Bible. Yes, it's a bunch of fairy tales. And
Okay, does the fairy tale say?
Why are you defending?
I'm a Maltheist. That means I believe in God. I just don't agree with his methods.
You're quote mining your way through the text, though. Even stranger still.
Yeah, this is shocking. This is very shocking.
Well, the Bible is the greatest balloon animal ever created. You twist things around and you have Methodism. You twist things around again, you're Catholic. Twist things around again, you're any number of things. That's why there's over 30,000 denominations.
Hang on,
are you a Calvinist?
Yeah, no, I'm an atheist. That was a
No, not you, Jesse. I know you're an atheist, but Jesse, are you a Calvinist?
I don't know what I am. Basically, I'm an antichrist. I'm a devil. I disagree with God.
You hate God, but you believe he exists?
We're doing pretty good right now. I prayed to him the other day.
Yeah, he based on him saying at one point that essentially he thinks that God's more of a demiurge than a god, and he has issues with this God character. He's more of a Maltheist than anything else.
Why is demiurge being thrown around in such a negative way lately?
Because
first time I
is kind of negative.
Well, the first time I encountered that term was in Plato's writing, and it was just this deistic god who just tried to best replicate the forms.
Oh, because we're talking about demiurge as it was used by the classical Gnostics. In which case, there is a god, but that god happens to be evil.
In which case, yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
Is that it wasn't the evil gods who then created God and just kind of fucked off?
Well, he was an evil creator that fucked off, but yeah.
Yeah. And then made the other god without the memory of being created or something.
Yeah, it gets weird from there. I mean, this is what happens when you get into mystery religions. Oh, I'm going to respond momentarily to the external. By the way, Clockwork, yeah, I can see you're typing out there. I don't know if that was a test or what. Sam, we're sitting around waiting because apparently Jesus' Lord wanted to school me about religion, and now said, okay, sure, fine, I'll open that fucking hangout you asked for, and now he's not showing up, so go figure. We tried reaching out to him, but still nothing.
Well, to quote Drake, he would get his shit pushed in if he came in here.
Well, yeah, no, biblical slavery is not the topic you want to argue with me about.
Because if there was a real
topic
God,
you want to argue, period.
If there was a real God, why would he be in favor of slavery? And if there is a real God and he is in favor of slavery, why would anybody want to have anything to do with that God?
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Typically, one of the responses to that is there may have been some greater good that would have been achieved by allowing it or permitting or condoning it at the time.
And the kicker is that I've actually
so many more problems if you just.
Well, the thing is, I formulated an argument that does just that I thought would be a half-decent pseudo-apologetic for it, just as kind of a thought experiment. And I did that prior to Epi doing his thing, and it's something I wouldn't want to necessarily have to fight against. But the problem is that these freaking Christians that claim that, slavery in the Bible is okay, don't understand the practice, they don't understand the culture, they don't understand fuck all about it and want to just mischaracterize it.
Yeah, didn't you help out Beckel with that once? You explained it to him, and you gave the most generous interpretation that you possibly could for it, and then he just kind of eschewed that in a debate.
Well, I'd kind of like to take credit for that. No, actually, I passed him off to Gabriel Kazanov on that one. And that's the way he treated Gav, who, of course, is a practicing Jew in Israel, which gives him a little bit more authority than I have, to say the least.
Yeah.
If God is real, he wrote the Bible. He's a very bad author. I argued once that math is something we all have something to do with. Our life is controlled by math in one way, shape, or form, whether it be energy, transportation, even food. Why can't God, if he's all powerful and all knowing, write something as clearly defined as math? If you fuck up your math, a house that you try to build will fall under its own weight. planes would fall out of the sky and power stations would blow up.
You know
There's a direct correlation between you screwing your math up and the end result. Theology is supposed to be something so powerful that people are killing for. You'd think it'd be less ambiguous.
A counter rebuttal to that would just be to say that God is the originator of mathematics as well. So you can't. God. Nobody's claiming God wrote the Bible.
Well, some do. That's the problem.
God inspired.
Some very, very few people claim. They'll say that it's every word is God breathed, or it's inspired by God, or through the Holy Spirit, or what have you. But it's not by a rational individual who understands the meaning of those words. It's not meant to be every word is taken literally. Everything is meant to be analogical or allegorical. It's an approximation, and the whole idea is that God is so beyond what it is that we experience that even our best analogies fall short of it.
Yeah, one of the issues is that when you're dealing with the Bible, well, I might have some pseudo apologetics for dealing with questions along those lines when I'm playing the theist's advocate, as I like to refer to it as. In reality, there are very few people who will posit that God himself actually penned it, and the ones that do are generally very fucking ignorant of how that book came to be.
Exactly. The one. How's this for an idea? We somehow managed to get G-Man to debate like a bishop, Catholic bishop or something. I think that because it would be funny as hell seeing a Catholic bishop be pushed into a psychotic rage.
Okay, dude. I might have issues with the Catholic Church, but nobody deserves to be stuck talking to that idiot.
It would be funny. It would be him bothering somebody who kind of deserves some shit for once.
That really. And just for now.
Giggles?
No, actually more so just for the sake of anyone that doesn't know. G-Man is now a known scammer and doxer, so he's kind of person non grata.
Okay.
Non grata, rather. So, yeah. Once you start going the Key Knight path, you're done.
Yeah, I hadn't heard jack shit about Keen in a long time. I used to live on G Plus and I stumble across his shit and delete it. The
dustbin of history. Oh, were you trying to post a link in... Hang on, so I'm sorry. Clockwork, were you trying to post a link or something in live chat or just general? That didn't cross my mind. As I sit here reinterpreting what you said a while ago in the chat. Clockwork?
Is math God? No.
No, a little while ago it said he couldn't post in chat. I was wondering if you're trying to post a link or something like that, because that hadn't crossed my mind when I first saw it. No, oh well. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Nicola.
No, I was just reading back because you were saying he was trying to post something.
Yeah.
He said, wait, is math God? And I was like, I don't think that's what I was getting across. Like it was.
I was saying is when you screw up with math, you obviously learn. There's people who there's a link on WikiLinks, I think, where there's 300 people that used to be pastors and priests and fathers, and I'm sure beyond of a doubt, I'm sure there's still people who would scream amen every time one of those people said hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think the lesson would be learned. Hey, this guy is a pedophile. This guy is a murderer. This guy is a philanderer. But there's still people who would say, hallelujah.
And another goddamn crash. We're back on the air now. That was a pain in the ass.
As long as it's just a computer problem.
Yeah, it's a driver issue or something. I haven't been able to isolate it yet. I gotta figure out what the hell's going on with this shit.
Problem I'm having lately, I can't figure out my Minds account. I can't get back on it for some reason. That's been a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with this shit. I'm going to have to research this one, I think.
Yeah, I don't know much about different platforms. Basically, all they do is share as much as I can.
Yeah, so a quick search on Stephen Colbert is that if he is incredibly serious and everything he says is correct, what you think is correct about him, that he is a very religious individual, he would have been... Well, no, that's what you're alluding to, is that, you want to see them because they're not douches, but he's a religious person. He may not shove it down your throat, but the idea is he practices his religion. He would actually have been formally excommunicated for his ordination in the Universal Life Church Monastery.
I just thought it'd be a good discussion. Well, who would you like to see in the next great debate? And let's face it, we need somebody that's a little different. Ken Ham versus Bill Nye. Ken Ham is about as personable, as friendly as a sandpaper dildo. I can't anybody take him.
Well, the problem is if you're going to be having a discussion with, like a debate with a young Earth creationist, it can't be on anything related to science or the Bible, for that matter. At that point, you're not having a debate, you're just correcting what it is that they're saying.
And dropping your jaw in every downright crazy claim.
Well, no, like if you show up at a debate with, say, Kent Hovind, and you're there to talk about the theory of evolution, out of the gate, Kent Hovind is no longer talking about the theory of evolution as it is proposed in biology. He calls it the theory of evolution, but he's referring to something entirely different.
I know abiogenesis is somehow the theory of evolution.
No, he has his 6 steps of evolution. Effectively, the theory of evolution, according to Kent Hovind, is everything which disagrees with the Bible, which is all of reality.
Don't you want to scream every time they say evolution?
Yeah.
Evolution is like, fuck you. Evolution? Evolution. Learn English.
You know that a lot of British people pronounce it evolution, such as Richard Dawkins.
Evil.
He's an evolutionary biologist.
Yeah, but he's not trying to emphasize the word evil, I would imagine.
And he does emphasize it when he says it, but that's how a lot of posh people in England actually pronounce it. Particularly so that and they do it somewhat to distinguish evolution as a noun from just a general change over time that you would have, where you could say my political views underwent evolution or something. So they give it its own unique pronunciation. Kind of like how Berkeley is named after a philosopher named Berkeley, and it's spelt the same. Berkeley is actually pronounced Barkley.
But when a Christian says it, it's insinuating it's evil.
In which case it's childish and you can just ignore it.
That shouldn't be it. I'll have to take her down and fuck with that thing later. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one, Clockwork. That always makes me laugh when they call you a Darwinist. Because nobody's held to Darwinism in over 100 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, like they give a shit.
Never let the truth get in the way of anything.
I don't know. It kind of shows the difference, because we had our little misotheist in here earlier, and I was calling him out for cherry picking his way through the damn text, but they don't sit there and call their own out on shit.
No, they do that privately.
Yeah, bullshit. I don't buy that for a minute.
Bullshit. They do it privately.
I won't say who it was, but I got into a bit of a discussion with an atheist once, and she ripped me a new one. She was off on a couple of parts, but I love that. It's honest, unvarnished, double barrel shotgun blast of an honest opinion. No talking in circles, no bullshit. I absolutely, I mean, we can be quite rude sometimes, but it's always from the heart. That's what I love about atheism I've seen so far.
I don't know, man. I mean, just asking people to have an honest conversation shouldn't be some kind of, big challenge or big fucking deal.
No, it's not a noteworthy accomplishment, I'm sure, but it shouldn't be considered that. But you've seen so many people that talk in circles and never be honest about anything. If you don't want an honest answer from an atheist, don't ask him a question.
What?
I said, if you don't want an honest answer from an atheist, don't ask him a question. That's what I love.
Ah, gotcha. If you don't want, okay, the don't is what I was missing there. I'm like, wait a minute, what did you say? Missing the don't kind of kills your context. Kills the context on that one.
Sorry about that. I must have mumbled or something.
Nah, I probably just didn't hear you right. I tend to do that lately. There we go. Let's bring this.
Oh, I actually found a Free Thinkers Association.
Oh, cool.
It's for years I've heard him around somewhere in Hot Springs. I always chalked it up to being like an urban myth because I'm in the heart of the Bible Belt. I've pictured the Free Thinkers Association being some kid named Trish. The fact that he's an atheist, so his parents would die of a heart attack when he finally does tell him. No, it's an actual honest goodness group. Somebody I knew 15 years before stumbled across my page, a reference to me on my sister's page in Michigan, and reconnected. I was like, there's no place to hide anymore. Facebook will find you.
Well, not if you stop using it.
Well, she connected with me on Facebook and told me, oh yeah, there's a group in town I'm part of it. Like, really?
Cool. Yeah, I live in Texas. We have a few. The problem is that we have to kind of be careful because in Texas, what happens is you wake up in the morning and you go to step out your front door to like get your newspaper or whatever, and you trip over the first church, fall in the second church, roll over onto the third, and then crush the fourth while trying to get back up.
Oh, and I had a small problem up in Elgin, my hometown. There's part of me that's not a very nice guy, and that's worked my advantage a couple of times. They knock on my door, and then somehow the sign I put up has disappeared, and the guy has a huge smile on his face. He has his partner beside them, and they say, if you died today, do you think you'd go to heaven or hell? Cussing at them is like white noise. They're immune to it. They can go to sleep to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it feeds their persecution complex. What I did and eventually got him to stop knocking on my door, I looked him dead in the eye, and mind you, I was drinking at the time. I was drowning at the time, actually. I looked like pure hell. I had probably 2 hours of sleep. And I looked him dead in the eye and said, it's not a matter of where you go when you die. It's a matter of how many people you take with you when you go. Boom! Off they went. Under any other circumstance, they'd try to do a polite discussion with me.
I don't know.
Sometimes being an asshole helps.
That question annoys me. I mean, the kicker is that I decided for a while that I just thought it'd be fun to play dumb. You know, it's like, oh, if you heaven or hell, I'm sorry, what? Where? What are you talking about? Are you threatening me?
I don't want to go to Detroit. Why are you bringing up Michigan?
Yeah. But, you know, I thought playing dumb would be fun. So you'd have somebody like, have you heard about Jesus? And I'd like, who? And they wouldn't buy it. They're like, yeah, this guy just fucking with us. Which is fucking hilarious.
Gardener?
Which is fucking hilarious to me that these guys are like, oh, well, this guy's obviously heard of Jesus. He's just messing with us. The fact that they conclude that makes it fucking hilarious when you think about the chick tracks, each of which sits there and seems to assume that the person that they're talking to in their little track has never heard of Jesus.
Yeah.
I find that shit fucking hilarious. It's like, okay, so even you don't buy your own horseshit. Yay.
Hugo and Jake does a great job on that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is they kept saying, well, you know, keep commenting on in the chick tracks that, you know, they're like, oh yeah, and these people are just sitting there like, oh yeah, sure, these people just have never heard of them. Yeah, right. Like anyone would believe that. So I kind of put it to the test, and no, nobody fucking believed it.
Yeah.
Turn that one off.
Growing up, and my family wasn't, my immediate family wasn't religious. Outside my immediate family, very religious. But even growing up, you can't help but hear somebody say something about God. It's not a deep secret.
Well, I worked really hard when I was raising my kids to keep them away from any reference of God, in part because of that whole bullshit claim that everyone's born with knowledge of God. I'm thinking, okay, let's put this to the test, and if at some point in their life they randomly start talking about some God thing or what have you, maybe they can tell me what the hell it is. You know, that's kind of was the question. And when my daughter was, good grief, I think about 7, I think it was maybe, her aunt fucked it up by trying to talk to her about God. And my daughter that sits there and she points up at the sky, points to the moon, and goes, God. And I'm like, what? Actually, sorry, she was a little bit younger than that. And I'm like, what? And she's like, God. And I'm like, what do you? And I'm looking to see what she's pointing at, and she was pointing at the moon, looking at the proverbial face, the man in the moon, as we refer to it as, and had misinterpreted what had been told to her as that. I'm like, okay, yeah, not helping. So yeah, that experiment was a little bit screwed up, but there was no God notion that ever rose organically. But yeah, that attempt to try and introduce the God concept by somebody that had no fucking theological basis whatsoever was fucking hilarious.
My nephew, we were walking around. It was a Presbyterian church. He was a toddler, and you know, he was a little older than a toddler. He was like right on the bubble there. Still adorable and cute. He wants to go in. I don't want to, but he wants to go in, and I can't tell kid no. So we go in, takes one look around, and screams very loud, "This place sucks."
Oh, dude, I have one worse. When we went well, we had to live about a year, the ex and I with the kids, out in San Augustine, and her grandmother was forever pestering us to try to get us to go to this fucking church that she frequents that was right down the street. And finally, I relented. I'm like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. So we went down there, and do you want to say clusterfuck? Oh my word! About 20 minutes into the service, my daughter goes, "Why are we here?" And Granny turns to my daughter and says, "God, this is God's house." And my daughter says, "But God's not here," very loudly. Wow.
I just smiled and said, "Hey, you know, kids, let's go. Whack, let's go."
No. I just smiled down at her and patted her on the head.
No, I didn't whack him. I just yanked him up and turned around before someone had a pissy fit. Later on, he joins the Boy Scouts, and I try not to have running discussions with theists at this time in my life. But I had a couple of disagreements, and there's this music competition they were going to go to, and they had to practice in this church, and it was pretty close to one incident I had with somebody there, and I said, "Okay, you've been there before. This guy, is he kind of a little plump, wears cowboy hat, looks Indian?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Then I described another guy, and he goes, "Yeah, I seen him over there too." It's like, "Oh, guy, we're going to go over there." Oh boy. Luckily, nothing happened. I just pictured something out of like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Donald Sutherland's pointing at me.
Now, having crashed twice and not trusting my system right now, I should probably see about taking this offline, because clearly Jesus is Lord is not showing up. Which, you know, when you talk about Jesus in general, Jesus has been apparently supposed to be coming or returning or whatever for thousands of years and hasn't, so this does not surprise me in the least. Just saying.
Jesus is not even breathing hard. He's dead. He's fucking dead. Coming is a complete miracle. Would be a complete miracle.
Well, for those of you that watched, I'll be ending the broadcast. I probably will be seeing if I can get this fucking thing sorted out sometime tonight, because I'm pretty fucking sure it's a driver's issue. I'll probably see about going back online at some point. I don't know, maybe tomorrow if I can get this shit sorted out, and then I'll probably just do some writing or something. Doing it live as I had been, and as with the other hangouts, it'll go to off air after the fact. That one is that. I mean, not this one.
Okay.
Anyway, so any other topics before I close out?
I want to ask you about writing, but we can do this off air.
I'll take it. I'll leave it running for now, then, I guess. What's up? What's in your mind?
How do you do dialogue? I mean, I got some good ideas. It's just connecting A to B to C.
How do you actually... Okay, when you say how do you do dialogue, dialogue itself is actually... Okay, I'd like to say fairly simple to do, but so many people do it in such a way that it's kind of unconvincing. Now, there's two sides to this. One of which is that sometimes when people are talking, and you'll pick this up when you're actually practicing, so to speak, to write dialogue, which you do by going to different places and just listening to people having conversations. But you'll notice in conversations there are moments, kind of like this one here, that what somebody's actually saying seems more staged and more forced than would actually be appropriate. In things like movies and what have you, the biggest problem with dialogue is the read of it, not what's actually said. But the main thing is reading it aloud to yourself, so to speak, in those character voices while you're doing it. Now, I don't mean that you have to sit there and talk like this or anything weird like that. When you're, what I mean by the character's voice is, I mean the voice, so to speak, in your head that you have for the character. That this is the way that they speak, this is the kind of language they use, this is the way they present themselves. First, you have to make sure it's consistent with that character and how you would anticipate that character would respond to what's going on or what's being said. But beyond that, it's a matter of, as long as this is true to the character, it generally will ring as being somewhat true, and you want to make sure that it doesn't seem too forced. I don't know. It's kind of like if you sit there and listening to a conversation and all of a sudden somebody started an ad for like soap, body wash or something like that, then you're doing it wrong. It's a matter, if it just doesn't sound like something the character would say, that's where you're screwing up.
Yeah.
But there's a certain natural flow of conversation, and just listening to other people talk should help you establish that.
Is that, plus I don't know what to do. Do I write this out as a play? Do I write it out as a book? Do I try it as a movie? I need some...
No, it's just a preference, really.
I need to dial back the OCD as much as possible.
Look up the snowflake method.
That one's actually really popular.
Yeah.
I've never actually looked into it too much or used it, but on the varied writing forums, that's the one that's brought up the most often.
Yeah, that's the one that I actually prefer, although I think you can actually drop step 7, if I remember.
I never heard of it.
Yeah,
I'd forgotten all about that until you mentioned it. To me, writing dialogue was always kind of my strong point. It was always really intuitive to me. That, and I spent a lot of time in places like Denny's or what have you, just sitting there quietly listening to people talking at nearby tables.
And people say that authors are creepers.
Absolutely, we are. Oh, more than once. I was
wondering why there's that guy there in Starbucks with his laptop.
Well, the thing is, you go to like a Denny's or whatever, and you're sitting there with a notepad, and I'm sitting there jotting down notes and this kind of stuff. And I'll occasionally pause while I'm thinking in between one note and the next, and just kind of listen to what's being said around me, so I can basically just, well, it helps with building dialogue, really. That's all it does. So then what I would do is, So then I go back to sitting there writing down my notes, and I'll have some idiot coming over confronting me thinking I'm recording what they're saying. So then you sit there and it's like, here, want to read a little bit of it, and they're looking at it going, what the fuck is this? I'm like, obviously not what you were saying. Now can you go away?
Oh, that's when you mess with them and you say it's written in code. Can you crack it? No, another problem with dialogue that I think people have is if you're attaching description of this scene around them to the dialogue that's being said, the reactions of the people, or at what point do you end up going down the H.P. Lovecraft road and you're just being too descriptive?
That's the problem I have, being descriptive.
Well, description is kind of a whole different...
Yeah. Well, it's the adjoining of the dialogue with the description.
That's the problem, yeah.
Well, joining
the person's reaction as they're saying something.
Strictly speaking, a lot of that you should actually be going down from one line to the next, and not necessarily including them. Now, a lot of authors do it, but that's a stylistic thing. But when you're starting off, they recommend against it initially until you become more proficient.
That's why I thought a play might be more appropriate. You can write the screen, the description, and then just work on the dialogue. You don't have to
stage notes
work.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never learned how to really write in that particular format or how to lay that out. I just write novels. That's a totally different kind of animal as far as I'm concerned.
I bow to your expertise because I don't do pretend time.
Oh, don't bow to my fucking expertise. When I looked for an agent, I didn't get any offer. Well, okay, I got offers, but they're from fucking Vanity Presses, and they can kiss my ass. So I'm apparently doing something wrong, not that I fucking know what, other than, you know, writing something that's not standard of the genre, which was the one criticism I got from from a big box publishing company.
Oh, Robert Pershing went through how many people until he came up to somebody actually...
Well, that's the thing is that you butt up against the notion of profitability, basically, whether marketability, rather, whether they think that they're going to be able to have a built immediate audience for it. Now, the reason why Aaron Roth, for example, had somebody approach him about doing a book pertaining to the fundamental falsehoods of creationism is that he already had the audience there. And atheism was kind of a big thing. You know, here's a topic that's selling well. But when they don't know and you don't have that audience already built in, it's more of a risk to them, so they're less likely to want to deal with you. And of course, there's the other thing about authors, which is that we tend to, at least on the surface, overvalue our own work.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine.
What is the purpose of your channel? What is your motto?
I'm sorry, repeat?
What is the purpose of your channel? What do you want to spread? What do you want people to believe?
What do I want people to believe?
Yes. Why do you do this?
Do I need to have a strict purpose? Or are you asking how I got my start? Or what are you really wanting to know here?
I'm saying, are you asking for money, or you want to write a book? What's going on here?
I've written 2 books. I'm working on the third, actually.
Why don't you write my book?
Sorry, why don't I write your book?
Yes, why don't you write my Bible?
That's a really weird question.
Every man's allowed to have his...
Okay, question number 1. Who the fuck are you and why should I care?
I don't care if you don't care.
Well, that doesn't help me get any insight to who you are, does it? Because here's the thing, is if somebody wants somebody to write a book about them, then clearly they should have an idea of who they are and why they think they're worthy of being written about.
If Jesus came to you and asked you, if Satan came to you and asked you, would you write my Bible, my book, would you do it?
I would check myself into a psychiatric ward.
Damn straight. I always thought LSD would be wasted on atheists because we'd just say, yeah, this isn't real. I'm not seeing yellow frogs singing.
The thing is, if somebody has a book that they feel needs to be written or what have you, they need to write it themselves. You can't write someone else's book. It's just not how it works. Unless you want to do the ghost author thing, at which point you then have to sit down and spend all kinds of time talking to the person, learning about them, and you just write in their behest. But you're still conferring with them the entire time. But even then, it has to be a topic worthy of being written about.
You could also be commissioned to write a series of novels like they did with the Warcraft series.
Yeah. But that's a different animal entirely. But yeah, I mean, why don't I write your book? Dude, why don't you write your book?
You're the expert on yourself. No one else.
Homies, I don't know how to write. I'm illiterate.
And then we're back to the first question, why should he write your book?
Yeah.
Because I'm the only one of my kind. I'm the only one that tells people the truth.
I like to think I'm truthful.
Well, you're not.
On my channel, I always point out, if you want to be a
I wish you were.
Wait, hold on. You're going to sit here and say that you're truthful when, about, what was it, half an hour ago, you were in here deliberately quote mining and misrepresenting passages from the Bible.
No, it's because you folk couldn't handle the Bible. You think that it's not history. The Jews never did this to this person. You guys think it's not real.
Well, I think that there are many things in the Bible which could be considered historical. The accuracy of that.
The vast majority of it, even what's claimed to be historical, isn't actually historical. It never actually happened. For example, there's no evidence that King David ever fucking existed.
Damn.
Well, there's some evidence, but it's not convincing evidence.
Okay, we don't. As far as I'm to understand, we don't have a single letter from a neighboring tribe or city or leader, what have you, written to King David.
But you believe a lot of other shit, but you won't believe that story.
Okay, can you hang on for 1 second, Jesse? I was addressing Nicola. Nicola, are you aware of any actual letters we have from neighboring civilizations written to King David?
No, that's why I qualified my statement. Okay. It's like, as I said, it's not good evidence at all. There's some evidence.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is if some evidence had arisen, but there's really, as far as I'm understanding, no actual good evidence.
Yeah, no, there is no good evidence. Like, nothing that we would consider concrete, especially from a historical point. Hey, down.
And if that, especially if the society had been anywhere near as big as
evidence that they have, everything dated to around that time.
Well, the thing is, if such a civilization as is represented had actually existed, there'd be some evidence. There would have been correspondence between him and other kings, etc. This would be a friggin' thing. There'd be some evidence outside of the actual Bible itself, and as far as I'm to understand, there really isn't, which would indicate that if there was a King David leading over some kind of quote kingdom, it would have been incredibly small, most likely just a small village.
Yeah, years ago, I barely remember some kind of Steely barely mentioning the House of David. I'm sure it's just a straw that the fundamentalists cling to, like they cling to so much. Say, this is absolute proof, and no, you look at it a little deeper, not so much. Like when Bob Ballard found that village. Remains of a village at the bottom of the Black Sea. This is proof of the Great Flood.
Yeah.
No, that's the Black Sea. That is not the whole world.
Or the single wagon wheel at the bottom of the Red Sea, I think it was, or something like that. That they claimed was proof of the whole parting of the sea thing.
Yeah, the one.
It's a wagon wheel, just one.
Yeah, I think our disagreement basically boils down to what would we consider evidence in a general sense.
Yeah.
And the one
it's like typically, I guess, when people use the word evidence, they're looking for something far more rigid, whereas I'm just saying that if it supports a proposition, then it's evidence of the proposition.
Yeah, I remember I remember years ago there was some kind of reference to the House of David, but it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't.
No, there's nothing overwhelming. Like the preponderance of the evidence so far is a total lack of evidence for the existence of David.
Exactly. There would be a lot more authorship about him.
Yeah.
Well, there'd be at least I wouldn't expect there to be a lot of authorship.
But there'd at least be essentially letters from one society to the next, yeah.
Yeah, you would expect neighboring nations to have at least written about him, especially either, like in passing, if they just thought that this was an insignificant empire that was just a bother, or if they really hated them, you would expect them to write some very visceral things about it.
Yeah, I mean, the existence of ancient Israel is actually referenced once by Egypt when they're talking about all the nations they conquered. Now, granted, there's a footnote, like we fought the Assyrians and, I can't think of the Hittites and killed 50,000 or whatever, and they killed some of our people, et cetera, et cetera. And you have this list of all these empires and how many they killed and yada, yada, yada. And then there's this one little footnote, and we destroyed the nation of Israel, and that's it. Nothing about numbers, nothing about anything. I mean, we're talking a tribe that was barely worthy of mention at all.
Exactly.
They were slaves, brother. You don't mention slaves.
According to
victory over them that made them slaves would be something you mentioned.
Well, here's the problem: is that there's no actual Egyptian record of them having any of those of supposed biblical events happening.
Well,
or
there's
of
a
them
bigger
being
problem
slaves.
there. Is that, do you know who contests the idea that there was this mass exodus from Egypt of all these hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of slaves? Israel.
Yeah, Israel.
The Israeli Archaeological Society has been looking for that for over a century, and their conclusion is, no, they were born out of the crumbling Canaanite system.
And when the best scholarship, even Israeli scholarship, says that, it's time to start listening and realize that that book is not 100% accurate on much of it.
Men who think they're God never mention their mistakes.
Okay.
Now,
you do understand, you're saying that, you never mention a defeat at all in history, especially the Egyptians never recorded defeats. Well, the fun thing about that is, for a lot of history, there were actually two Egyptian states. And they were at war and at odds with one another a lot. You would expect somebody who is at least loyal to it to have recorded the events.
Now, granted, the first known case of propaganda was indeed out of Egypt when they were talking about the pharaoh throwing fireballs in the middle of one of the fights.
Yeah.
But we kind of know that's hogwash. But even then, if you look at the nations that they were at war with, we do have records of that from their perspective as well. But when it comes to the, it's not actually Hittites. What is it? It starts with an M. Sorry, an H rather. The first ones have iron weapons in the area. Anyway, I'm blanking on it. They fucking trounced Egypt, and that is recorded on both sides as Egypt being trounced. The pharaoh was actually knocked off of his chariot, and that's where the whole claims about him throwing fireballs came into play.
Something just occurred to me thanks to Sabella there in the side chat. Jesse, you say that you're illiterate, and yet you're picking out these passages of the Bible that you supposedly understand in context. How does that work?
Have you ever been a follower of Jehovah?
How that works is by trolling, or by claiming to be functionally illiterate, or just.
I used to be a Jehovah's Witness. Now I am a free JW, an upgrade of the JW faith.
Yeah, it also sounds like you're full of shit.
I call whack-a-mole.
The one thing about in North America, there is scattered evidence that the Vikings had some kind of a presence. Never a large one, but there is evidence. Now you're talking about 1 million or so people getting out of Egypt and going into Israel. There would be a lot of evidence.
Especially it's with the numbers that they claim.
If a couple of hundred Vikings can leave evidence, hundreds of thousands of Jews would leave more.
Now, mind you, the only evidence left behind is things like small stone altars that in their style, etc. But there's something.
Yes. It would be without a doubt hundreds of thousands. Hell, Cult Dusty, he's funny sometimes. He said each Jew could stand side by side and form a line from Egypt to Jerusalem, just on the beach line, coastline of the Middle East.
Could have leapfrogged your way into the Holy Land.
Yeah, how could they have gotten lost for 40 years?
That's where God comes in, right? Because that would be a miracle.
Gary, would you ever mislead someone?
Sorry, what?
I mistreat someone?
Would you ever lie to someone?
Yes.
Well, that's what you're doing right now to your fellow man. You're lying to me.
No. Generally, people actually select when they lie and make sure that these circumstances are appropriate and that there's a reason for it. People usually don't just lie willy-nilly. For example, when your wife walks into the room and says, "Does this make my butt look fat?" It doesn't matter how fat it makes her butt look. You're still going to say no as a general rule.
Shadow, I know you're not.
Or in my case, when the cop pulled me over, I had neglected to pay the insurance that month, so I didn't have insurance, but I told him I did. So
better question is, what exactly was Gary lying about in reporting an anecdote from someone else?
Do you guys understand Christianity?
To an extent.
Do you understand that God himself is fooling you guys?
I don't give a fuck because I don't believe there is a God.
I understand that, but if you're a
okay, hang on. Let me step in here for one moment. Do you understand that the interdimensional space pixies that are going around and smacking you upside the head with their invisible dicks? That is just as meaningful as what you just said.
I understand, Shadow, but if you guys are students of the world, students of Christianity, you have to understand what they believe, what they're going through, what they've been lied about.
I've studied certain things of Christianity in terms of trying to understand what people are attempting to present. I have read the book. I have done plenty of things here. I do not ascribe to those beliefs. I think that anyone or anything that has ever claimed to either be a god,
you don't know about strategy?
Will you hush for a moment? Anyone or anything that has ever claimed to be either speaking for God or claims to be a god is either lying or deceived. This is my view. Go ahead now.
Have you ever heard of lying to your enemy?
Are you talking like, for example, the two women in the Bible that went into the enemy camp to seduce their leaders to then turn around and kill them that were regarded as heroes of Israel? Or just in general?
That included. But I'm saying, do you understand people lie to their enemy? They mislead them?
I suppose, yeah.
So the Christian God is lying to us.
So
wouldn't he have to be real to lie?
Yeah, I was going to point that out myself.
I mean,
so Bigfoot's lying to us. Those weird space pixies with their giant sword-like dicks are lying to us. Got it.
Well, I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and we used to practice warfare strategy, spiritual warfare. We used to lie to people to their face.
Yeah, no shit. Everybody knows that.
Well, I'm saying God is doing that himself. And you guys do that, and we all do that.
Somebody who doesn't exist is lying to me. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too concerned about non-existent entities that are lying to me. That sounds like some kind of paranoia to me.
What is this, Jesse, that you don't understand, that you insisting God is lying to us is just falling on deaf ears because we don't believe that there's such a being there to begin with?
I understand.
And in my case, it has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible because it's just an assessment of the available evidence and the concept of a God.
So you're too smart to be fooled.
No.
You're above the law.
What law?
What?
The law of God's fooling us.
I'm done.
Okay.
Okay, so are you swearing fealty and obedience to the space pixies or not? Jesse.
Sir, I don't even understand your question.
Well, you know the God of the Bible is a fairy, right? You do understand that.
Is it a he or she? I don't care. The man
no. I said it's a fairy.
I don't even know what a fairy is. That's
don't know what a fairy is?
It's fake.
No. Clearly, if the God of the Bible exists, it's clearly a member of the Fae family of mythical creatures. This could be seen.
Crystal, are you talking about
This can be clearly seen in the section where it's talking about all the different people that they defeated, and then said that they can't defeat the people of the valley because their chariots are made of iron. And if this being can't affect iron, then clearly it's a member of the Fae family.
Can you tell Peter Pan I say hello to his fairy?
I don't believe in Peter Pan either.
I know you don't, but there's a movie that entertains us.
Do you believe that movies are reality?
No.
I certainly don't. What's wrong with you, dude?
I would have been in the loony bin right now.
Are you sure you're not?
Yes, I am, but it's the loony bin where we're allowed to go to the park whenever we want to.
It depends. There's different levels of security.
Yeah, I've been in open units and closed units and locked units. Never been to a back ward, though. I went to a facility that had one, though. One of the few left in the nation. Kind of cool. Patients go in, but they don't come out.
I'm trying to help you, man.
I think you're trolling.
Do you really think you're the only one to talk to me about Jesus and God and religion? Dude,
you understand that I don't care if Jesus is a righteous man or not. He's evil. He has threatened you and your family.
60 years after he supposedly existed, people started writing about him.
You understand the second coming of Jesus already happened?
It could be made he never existed, let alone take arms against him.
Dude, don't argue too aggressively. This guy's just being a troll.
No, Shadow, come on, don't do me like that. I understand that Trump wants to fight the outer space like Star Wars, and all military men said you're crazy. We ain't gonna fight no aliens.
How did you jump to Trump?
I have no fucking idea.
He's on my level. He's intelligent.
Compared to what?
He's a
meat puppet. China owns us. We're gonna have to work for the Chinese. We're gonna have to speak Chinese. I don't speak Chinese.
Trump is a meat puppet for the religious right. Well, I should say wrong. That's all he is. Mike Pence is. Trump has to be gay now because Mike Pence's hand's been up his ass for over a year now.
Nah, man. The guy's too mentally unstable to even really say that about.
I meant metaphorically.
I meant actually. I mean, Trump is mentally unstable. He's a fucking moron.
That's why they have
fuck all about any fucking thing. It isn't smart enough to actually hire advisors to fill in the gaps.
I heard he's still out of control. People who normally would jump at the chance of working in the White House saying, "No, I'll pass."
Yeah, fuck that. Not in that fucking nest of hornets. Fuck that. Who the hell would want that job?
Who want to wade into a chest-high amount of steaming mess? No, thank you. Trump is a joke.
Wait, hang on.
Mike Pence is what scares me.
Well, let's not get derailed too far, because let's not jump into politics. Because this is why I say that I think he's simply trolling. Because throw Trump in the mix and try to get people's dander up. That sounds like a simple troll tactic to me.
All right.
That would be my diagnosis. So any more profound words, Jesse?
No.
Okay. Well, this has certainly gotten interesting. Let's see now.
I do have a question, sir. Did Buzz Lightyear say that he did not go to the moon?
He's a senior citizen who had a moment. Buzz Aldrin had a senior citizen moment. I'm sure what he said was misconstrued.
And once again, trolling. And incidentally, yes, it was misconstrued because that's not what he fucking said. If you actually get your quotes from conspiracy sites, you're going to be misled every time. You might want to do some research to find the actual quote.
My first experience was conspiracy nuts. I was looking where I live at. It's hard to get a radio station in sometimes. I'm I'm trying to find something, and then I heard this one guy talk about how the moon's a hollowed out battle station.
Okay, I'm going to just for a moment address something that Sabella just said in the external. To be fair, Fae are not the only ones who have weakness of iron. It also works against ghosts and dragons. I'm actually aware that the dragon thing is a little bit questionable. It depends on what country the dragon's from. The ghost thing, that is relatively standard, but at the same point, if you say that your god's a ghost, they don't get nearly up in arms as they do if you say that your god's a fairy. That's me trolling.
Oh yeah, God, from the Book of the Winchesters. I forgot that holy text.
Fae or the she.
May I use your platform?
Hmm?
May I use your platform?
For what?
Isabella Monet from Transformers Chapter 5. When you turn 18, come and land in Palm Springs, California. We can spend one day together.
What?
I didn't understand that. Or what it has to do with my platform.
She's an actress, and she's from Peru. And she needs someone to, like me, to teach her the truth, the purple pill.
Okay. I think we've gone off the rails here.
Dude, Jesse?
I'm starting to think that he's stalking some actress.
I have a question for you, Jesse.
Go ahead, sir. Ask away.
Do you take pills, and do you have more than you should?
Or you missed a dose.
Sir, the other day
you missed a dose.
6 of them that I found in the trash, and they almost killed me.
If you have more than you should, you missed a couple. Get back on your regiment. Because that last thing, I couldn't understand a single word you said.
Okay, so you never seen Transformers 5?
No, I haven't.
No.
Mark Wahlberg and the little girl that goes into his trailer and tells him, "Hey, I need a job, and I'll take care of your dinosaur Autobots." You never seen the movie? You don't know who Isabella is? You never walked the Earth.
I've seen like one Transformer, and it was
the first 2 were shit. I didn't watch any of the further ones.
I understood every third word because there was too many explosions and the audio was shit. So no, I never went back. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm amused.
Here's a question I asked a long time ago. Do you think this persecution complex is like an example of the Christian persecution complex is an example of Munchausen? Maybe.
Munchausen, I don't think so.
One can reinforce another Christian by saying, "Oh yes, we're being persecuted. Yes, we're being persecuted."
No, I think it's just a simple persecution complex. I don't think going to Munchausen disorder, or especially not Munchausen by proxy, is necessary.
Gary, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, they would love bomb me.
I've heard about that.
It's a standard cult practice.
Emotional manipulation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the nature of the cult. Love bombing is a standard cult practice. Hell, even Teal Swan and her little cult compound does that. Now, granted, when somebody takes it too far, like spirit science does, and they start just outright kind of like being rapey, apparently the Tealies then turn around and will defend the perpetrator instead of victim when they're claiming that they're realigning their chakra with their dick. But, you know, spirit science is a piece of shit.
Yeah. I stopped going on G+. It's been a while since all I ever found on my feed was pit bulls, stuff about pit bulls. G+ really went down there for a while. I suppose I should give it a second chance.
I've been getting a lot of stuff on G+ about pit bulls apparently not existing. It's fun considering I have one sitting right beside me.
Dude, I got a great one the other day about Australia not existing.
You need to stop talking to those flat earthers.
It wasn't a flat earther, it was a different conspiracy nut.
What?
Yeah, they were claiming that the whole thing about sending convicts to Australia, they were actually just killing them all, and the whole thing was a conspiracy, and Australia doesn't exist. I'm like, are you fucking stoned?
Nikolai, where are you from?
Because people in Australia would naturally be white.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me how they used to justify taking land. Obviously, the lost tribe of Israel was here, and they were all slaughtered by these dirty heathens. We must reclaim this land.
Did we just move to Mormonism?
I think we did. It's a nice segue from the love bombing, though, because when the Mormons used to come around my house every now and then, you say, "Oh no, thank you, I'm rather busy," and they go, "Oh, is there anything we can help with?" Just go, "Yeah, you can cut my front yard if you want. I'll just mow your front yard and come back next week." Get them to mow the grass.
Talking about explorers used to justify their conquest by saying, "Oh, we have biblical grounds for this." Remember, this one case was an island in the Pacific. There's a ceremonial temple on the reef. It's all earth motif, animal worship. Captain Cook tried to say, "Oh, no, it's obviously the lost tribe of Israel was here, so I was right for taking this in the name of England."
Pretty sure they just took it in the name of God and country.
Shadow, where you from?
Mars. Okay, actually I'm from Corrales, but that's beside the point.
You know the Chinese went down to the moon and they sent a robot and they still see the American flag there?
Huh?
Sorry, Gary. I'm a little bit intoxicated, but I'll try to keep up.
A little something.
How you doing, brother?
Well, let's see now. Viewer count is way the hell down. Oh well.
I thought we went off air.
Well, we did. We have twice because of crashes. And I was going to take it off air, but then we just started having some vaguely amusing trolling, so I let it run for a few more.
No.
But I'm about to actually go offline now because actually looking at this, it looks like one podcast I'd rather be watching than my own shit's coming on.
Which one?
Liberal Viewer. I like your shit.
I thought drag would be great on the Scathing Atheist. They go after Wu sometimes.
How to put this in a non-disparaging way? I don't think drag's organized or funny enough.
Are you talking about Dragmark the Silvis, Jehovah's Witness?
Well, he doesn't have to be funny if he's poking holes in Wu.
On Scathing Atheist? The podcast?
I think he's somewhat funny.
I'm not saying he's not funny. I'm just saying he's not on the level of Noah or Eli at this point.
Well, I think he might be able to hold his own, but
I don't know, maybe. But keep in mind that they sit down and work on scripts and all this other stuff, and I don't know. It's a little bit. It would require actual effort, and drag's not so big on the effort.
I thought when they talk about anti-vaxxers, he'd be able to chime in with some authority on the subject.
It's not quite his field.
Be better to get Doc Savage.
Yeah.
True.
Very definitely. But the thing is, usually they bring on people for the comedic value as opposed to their knowledge.
Also, podcasts. They also talk about other people's podcasts, and Three Black Heathens could use a little promotion.
Yeah, and they're really fucking hard to get through to. I've been trying for a while. And the sad part is I've been trying to see if I can actually potentially get a plug, and I'm offering to fucking pay them for it, and they're still having a hard time getting back to me. They're fucking busy little beavers.
Yeah, how many shows like God Awful Movies, Scathing Atheists,
and Skeptocrat.
Skeptocrat. They rarely ever do that one.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do it, it's funny.
Yeah, but you're still talking roughly 3 shows a week, and that's got to take a lot of time.
I would definitely not want to get on their bad side. Verbally, they could dick slap you.
I don't know, man. It kind of sounds like fun to me, getting on their bad side. That'd be a duel of wit that I'd enjoy, even if I did get owned. But then again, I'd be laughing at their digs at me anyway, so. Well, I think the fun has wound down. Let's turn this shit off. For those that did watch, y'all have a nice night.